Football is a team sport, but no player on defense for Michigan State is more important than Jalen Thompson this upcoming season.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Please rate, review, subscribe, do whatever makes you happy, and if that includes commenting below the most important player on defense, we'll just go ahead and do that because that is where we will get started with the one, the only Dante Razanno, former Michigan State player, current You Are the Program podcast co-host. And Dante, point blank, we've talked a lot about Jordan Hall last week. He's going to be a solid player. He's going to be very important for this team. We all know Malik Spencer. Hey, we're hearing good things about Joshua Eaton, the cornerback. But look, when it comes to the most important player on defense, it's going to have to be Jalen Thompson, I think. Your defensive end coming in here for a third year at Michigan State. And last year, it wasn't a total catastrophe, but I think there's a little bit more to be desired. 17 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, but we're saying he's got to be important, not just because he has to be. It's nice to get to the quarterback every once in a while, but I think he actually can be. Coach Leggy Suinoa, he spoke about how he feels better, how he already looks better in fall camp. And hey, you know what? Joe Rossi spoke last week about how he could play outside, inside. He's going to be a little jackknife here on this defensive line. I think it all comes down to Jalen Thompson this year because you need to stop the run. You need to get to the quarterback this year. So that's where I'm at. What say you, Dante? I will finally let you speak now. How about that?
I'm going to go Jordan Hall.
Okay.
It's going to be an obvious answer. I want to first touch on Jalen Thompson because the difference maker that I don't think he's our rush end. I think he's our hand in the dirt D end. But having a versatile guy, whether it's first and second down or third down, to move him inside and play inside and be a part of a rush package is huge. And obviously, you know, I always try to talk about or caveat defensive discussions with if the defensive backs look awful, well, the first thing I look to is how's the rush? How are we doing up front there?
Yep.
And so I think being able for Jalen Thompson to take a step would be a massive leap for our defense in terms of coverage, rush, whatever it might be for the defense. However, for me, it's Jordan Hall because of, I think, 2 different factors. Number one is you always need a captain of the defense, right? Everyone talks about the linebacker, the middle linebacker, as that's your quarterback of the defense. But, you know, everything that they do on a down-to-down basis, nothing works without their coordination, their communication, their setup, their processing, their tips, and, you know, whatever else they're doing. There's probably, if you've seen the quarterback show on Netflix that just came out, how much stuff goes through an individual alignment, formation, anything like that on offense. But I think it was the beginning of one of the episodes that kind of went through all of those quarterbacks and everything that they do pre-snap. It's the same thing on the other side of the ball. I always think, though, the defensive side of the ball is harder because you have to react to what the offense is doing, right? The offense is kind of reacting. They know what they want to do. They know what they want to get into. Defense, there's so much adjustment that happens on a down-to-down basis that, you know, if Jordan Hall can, number one, get him in the right spot, but number two, be an absolute difference maker on defense, that I don't think we've had a linebacker. I think Antoine was probably the last one, Antoine Simmons, last one that we had that felt like a true difference maker. Even that COVID shortened season, it felt like he was. And back to my day with Joe Bacci, having that guy at middle linebacker, aligning everyone, getting everyone on the same page, but then also just being an electric playmaker on that side of the field, being able to do everything that's asked of him, I think is going to be the difference. And I've been super high on him since his freshman year. I thought he played great. And then last year didn't see, you know, the field nearly as much as I thought he would have. And so this year, I think it's a really important step for this defense in year 2 under Joe Rossi, who I continue to think is one of the best defensive coordinators in the conference. He needs a guy that's going to do that on the field for him. And I think that's going to be Jordan Hall.
Look, you said obvious answer, but it's obvious because it could be the correct answer here. I mean, a lot of communication goes through that headset, which college players now do have, of course. But he hasn't always been this middle linebacker. He's played some Sam linebacker, some strong side linebacker, of course. He's been, all over that unit. So it sounds like the biggest difference between what he was doing prior to, not the starting middle linebacker, and what he will be doing is just communication, or is there something that, like, athletically on the field that's going to be asked more of him now that he's going to be in this middle linebacker role? He think just flies a little bit under the radar. I mean, I don't think it's going to be much more coverage than he's had to do, perhaps, but maybe you'll surprise me and say that's the answer.
Be more. Yeah, if he's playing in the middle, I don't think it should be more than he has if he's playing outside. But at the same time, the mics always kind of communicate and making sure the front is right and making sure the calls are right. It's kind of on the – at least when in our defense when we had played, I know they've tweaked a couple things. It was the outside linebackers' jobs to communicate with the coverage and whatever they're doing on the outside. But communication-wise, I think that's going to be the biggest deal. But I think he's got everything he needs. I mean, I don't know if he's an elite pass defender, but you're not looking for your middle linebacker to be an elite pass defender. And he's going to be an upgrade over Cal Halliday, who was a very productive player in the run game. But, it was tough when you were playing in Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, any one of those teams that can manipulate an offense to make sure that they can get your weakest defender on a running back or someone that they feel confident. So I think the ability is all there. And mentally between the ears, everything you hear about the guy or, when you see him talk, he seems like a very cerebral player. Yeah. So that's just what I'm really excited to see, kind of how he leads this defense.
There's one other player that I wanted to highlight really quick, and this guy hasn't even played a snap of Michigan State football, let alone college football. But Coach Suey Noah, again, the defensive line coach for your Michigan State Spartans, he spoke with the media today and said, quote, Derrick Simmons is not a normal freshman. He's really physically gifted. Now, Derrick Simmons, if you don't follow recruiting, if you're just a normal, healthy person and you just tune in every Saturday just to see the team play, here's the rundown on him. He's a 4-star out of Frankenmuth. He was kind of a 3-star when Michigan State started to recruit him. He commits, and then he just blows up because, well, there's not a lot of eyes on Frankenmuth football usually during a season. But he was so good that it eventually caught on, he's a top 300 player in the country, and that's where he netted out at. Now, Dante, when we start talking about Derrick Simmons, we hear good things about him in fall camp, but it always ended with, we'll see what he is like in the future here. We keep hearing more and more about him. It's not like this is a position group that has just, solidified players. Like, yes, Alex Van Sumeren and then Grady Kelly will likely be the starters, but there's going to be competition in that 2 deep. Is it crazy to think that a true freshman such as Derrick Simmons could have a bona fide role with this team as early as his freshman year? Or, knowing what you know about college football, are you saying that it is really, really, really tough for a true freshman to play right off the bat, even after a solid fall camp?
No, not at all. I mean, especially at that position, I think defensive tackle is probably one of those that's I don't want to say the easiest transition because the physicality, everything is different from high school to college. But in terms of what you have to pick up and what you have to learn, it's not nearly as much because, again, when the play call is coming in or the mic set in the front or anything, it's not as much of a thinking game. And that's where you typically will see the biggest, I don't want to say slower progressions, but just the slowdowns between, like, you think about receiver, right? That's another position that, because there's translatable things from high school to college in terms of the language or how you're lining up or techniques, it's a quicker position. So defensive tackle and receiver, I'd say, are 2 of the positions that really you can, if you're physically there, you can pick up pretty quickly. But I've also seen it. I think in 2016, Mike Panasiuk played his true freshman year. I think my junior year, Jacob Slade had played as a true. You see it a lot, and it's not stunning. And these are the type of things that I like to hear coming out of camp because there's not a ton of firsthand news of showing their hand, but it's one of those things, to your point, where you can start to read the tea leaves of how coaches are talking about specific players or situations, or a lot of it's just in between the line thinking. And if they are already talking about how impressed they are with the true freshman, especially at a position that I think we all feel is deeper, but it's, to your point, wide open.
Yep.
I think there's all the possibility in the world that you could see someone and like a Derrick Simmons crack the rotation early, and that's a great thing. I mean, that's one of the things that gives us hope as fans. Again, you got to see it, result on the field. But again, I think you're starting to see depth start to come into the equation of who's in the playing rotation, who's not. You're starting to see, the coaches kind of feel, I think, a little bit more confident about whether it's offensive, defensive. There's just those little things that I feel like you can pick up during camp, but we'll see. What's game one? August 29th?
29th, baby. That's right. Friday night under the lights, 7 o'clock. Spartans, Broncos. God, I can't wait. It's not going to come soon enough. I did want to get to one other note from today's media availability, and then talk about some disrespect that hit the timeline on Twitter today. Always drag your internet beefs onto a podcast, of course. But first, I need to talk everyone's ears off about GameTime, the greatest ticketing app out there, guys. And it goes beyond just sporting events because we've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Well, live music should be all about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping, and that is where GameTime comes in. Now, GameTime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Or let's say you're not a last-minute person. Let's say you want to go ahead and get these tickets for Michigan State versus Western. They already have their flash deals. You can save great money in great sections of Spartan Stadium, guys. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets and game tickets, all things tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Now let's drag him back out. Here's the one, the only Dante Razanno, former Michigan State player, current podcast co-host of You Are the Program podcast. And look, this was just more of a fun, human story that popped up today. This is from Stephen Brooks, great friend of this program over at 24/7 Sports. And he tweeted out, Michigan State defensive tackle Grady Kelly and his wife are expecting their first child this fall. The due date happened to fall on the day of the Michigan game. Look, Dante, we shared a golf cart for a few hours the other week. I consider us great friends, Dante, so you could just shoot me straight here. How big of a scumbag am I that the first thought I had wasn't like, oh, that's great, or oh, congratulations. It was, I really hope she goes past her due date because I don't want my starting interior defensive lineman on 2 hours of sleep before this massive game. Is that horrible of me, or is that actually horrible on them to have a due date on the Michigan game? Who's in the right here?
Objectively, horrible on you.
Okay.
Subjectively,
you get it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's it's a tough
Cool.
It's a tough road, and especially if if Grady Kelly comes out the first 3 weeks, or he's just some absolute stud that we've needed. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a tough one. But I'll take it back to the depth that we're starting to roll in, and that we feel that the coaches are starting to preview about how good they feel about some of the depth. Now, I'm not saying we're loaded, but that's where Derrick Simmons might show up.
Yeah.
That's where a position like defensive tackle, where you're continuing to roll guys. I think you'll see that. So I hope it doesn't happen, especially given the circumstances that might play out over the next couple months.
Who knows?
But we will see.
Okay, just had to clear that because, look, as we're getting closer to kickoff, I'm pushing more and more morals and ethics aside, so it must be close to kickoff. But, on a serious note, obviously, congratulations to them. I highly doubt anyone even 2 degrees related from them are listening right now, but that's awesome. Congrats. Hope it all goes well, but please just try to have the kid on the Sunday after.
Another way to think about it, though, it could be the most memorable day of his life. That could give him just the – if it happens, I mean, think about this. Let's reverse engineer it. If it happens, he has his son, daughter, the morning of the Michigan game. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going out there. There's a weight lifted off his shoulders, making a huge play. I mean, it could size up to be something special.
And you don't know adrenaline until like you're in the hospital and you're like your wife just gave birth. Like that could be another jolt too. This is a positive now. Look at us. There we go. Way to spin zone that one, Dante.
Exactly.
Excellent. But yeah, just thought that was a fun little tidbit. And had to clear my conscience, or I guess just double down that I'm just not that great of a person. Anyway, let's get to some disrespect, Dante, because two things came out today. The first one, AP preseason poll. Look, I'm not going to have an issue with this one. Michigan State did not get votes. Okay, not that big of a surprise. But here is who did get on the map right now. Number 2, Penn State. Michigan is ranked 14th. Indiana is 20th on the poll. I highlight those because those are the 3 teams Michigan State will face. Now, others are receiving votes. USC, they got the 30th most votes. Nebraska, 34th. Iowa, 44th. Those are all Michigan State's opponents. Now, here's where we're going to start, like, squinting our eyes and saying, like, what happened here with one RJ Young. Now, RJ Young, he's an analyst or a commentator. He does something for Fox Sports, whatever. Dante, he did the task of ranking all 136 FBS teams. And again, I'm not expecting Michigan State to fall in the top 25 of these things. Not even the top 40. It's been a rough go here for our Spartans. We got a lot to prove here on the field. But RJ Young ranked Michigan State 97th amongst the 136 FBS teams. That is the second worst amongst Power 4 teams, only 2 spots better than Purdue. And when you look at the rankings, the graphic, it is like a Where's Waldo picture. Yeah. You find something new every time you look at this thing, Dante. But just a few notes that I had. That's 42 spots behind Northwestern. That's 32 spots behind Oregon State. That's 24 spots behind UConn. And that's 15 spots behind Georgia Southern, who has the 4th best odds to win the Sun Belt. A fun conference, but God. Dante, you've been in locker rooms. You've been coached by a guy who manufactured disrespect amongst the best of them, and Mark D'Antonio. You like seeing this as a former player? Like, is this actually talked about? Do you think that there's buzz inside the locker room right now with the team? Or is this just something that idiot fans like myself just get fired up about? What goes on in your head as a former player?
It's definitely something that's real. I'm trying to remember if there's a specific instance that I can point to, but it's kind of one of those things that I feel like if you see it, it kind of gets shown around the locker room, and depending on the team or depending on what it might be, like it's never really posted unless the coaches want to make a note of it. Like specifically for Michigan games or like big games, if someone says something, there would be specific times where it gets called out in like a team meeting or a positional meeting or anything like that. But mostly, like if this stuff had happened, I don't think it's something that they're showing in a team meeting, maybe, but it's something more that goes around the locker room, and it's like, you know, it's kind of a laugh and like we'll see. I can't believe, like you were just rattling some of those. It says we're 50 spots lower than Boston College. So that should be a 14-point home spread for us in the bad way. We should be.
RJ better have his entire mortgage on the Eagles for that game if that's a 50 spot difference. Not to be a betting advice guy, but if you're gonna put money where your mouth is. That's got to be a big one then from RJ.
Yeah. To your point, just looking through some of this list, it's just actually comical looking at some of the teams that are ranked ahead. I mean, like Appalachian State, Air Force, Buffalo, Troy. Like, yeah. To your point, you can go through it and look at it. But I love this personally as a former player, seeing this, because it makes me feel like it's something familiar. Like we haven't seen anything familiar in such a long time to what Michigan State football or us as fans feel like Michigan State football should be. And this is like familiar. It's like going back home. It's like going to your old high school where I went to algebra class. Like that was my old teacher. Hey, I saw you in the local bar or something. You know, that's what it feels like to me, because we are now in a spot where Nick Marsh gets left off Blitnikoff.
Yes.
Grady Kelly and Kerchunk McCray getting on there, which is great. Like I'm all for, I think, number one, preseason awards are dumb, but they only serve as like a chip on your shoulder. And the highest profile guy that we have in that room did not get put on the award watch list, but then 2 other guys that we brought in did. So great. I think that serves every purpose we could have needed. We got validation on the transfers we brought in.
Yes.
Biggest guy up there, leave him off the list for all I care. Just leave it. And it just feels familiar. And then this. So it really feels familiar that, when something like this, it has been a while too, since there's been some like disrespect. Even the past couple of years when we're not good, there was disrespect, but it wasn't like actually disrespect. 97 is insane. I don't care if we go 5-7. You're not 97th best overall team in the country. Like if you're 5-7 in the Big Ten, we would have to go 3-9 to be one of the worst 20 percentile of teams in the country, 15 percentile.
I would think so too. And look, I mean, I'm not stupid, as maybe people might think that. I don't think so when I look in the mirror. Am I perfect? No, but like I'm not stupid and blind to the fact that like maybe when you see other rankings like this, you see MSU like in the 50s or something like that's not great. But I get it. Okay, it's been 3 years since the bowl game. There's a lot of question marks. It's going to be a tough schedule. I understand. It is so hard to disrespect a team like that we are in right now, which, I understand that not everyone thinks that we're all that. 97! That's going above and beyond for disrespect. So it's a hard note to hit. But between that, and I'm glad you brought it up, like the Nick Marsh being left off of watch list, getting low ranked in EA Sports College Football 26. Wow, there's like a aura in the air right now that I'm very familiar with. It is like meeting an old friend. This is great.
Oh, yeah.
We're ready for some kickoff.
It almost makes me think, honestly, that he was like 80 teams into that list. And he, when you're probably laying it all out, you got everyone by conference and like all the preseason rankings and everything. And then he just like forgot at 80. And he's like, I'll put it.
Screw it.
Like, or it's one of those things where the editor was like, this is a great idea. Get clicks, get, drive people to it. The more quote tweets, retweets, like they're probably eating it up right now because preseason rankings, nobody tends to care. So you got to upset someone. So
I guess like the rest of the rankings like seem fine enough, but if there's like a heat map somewhere in the Fox offices with where all the engagement from this post is coming from, it is right here in East Lansing or Metro Detroit. It is a lot of State fans that are fired up. And I think that your theory might be right. He was just at like 85, 86. Oh, God, who am I forget? Oh, Michigan State. So the logo at 97. Who cares? And then just sent it in. That is the only plausible explanation for such a low ranking. I like to think.
Even on top of that, like Purdue is the last team in the conference at 99, which I even think is too low for a Power 5 school. But at the same time,
it's tough.
Purdue's got like 86 transfers of 116. Right. Like we return, I think 70 guys, and in terms of like returning production are not that bad. Mm-hmm. So either you just think everything, like if he legitimately put them at 97 thinking they're going to be that bad, like we weren't 97th last year is my point. So he thinks there's going to be a ton of regression and then we're just going to go 2-10 and we're going to have a new coach.
God, so can you imagine 2-10? No, I'm not going to imagine 2-10 right now. Actually, we're not going to go down that road. The next road we are going to go down, Dante, is a road that you're very familiar with. This will be like meeting an old friend because you did some time in the old special teams department at Michigan State, and we've been doing pulse checks with the fan base on Twitter. Hey, what's your confidence? Are you a little worried about such position groups? But this one, we just rounded up special teams as a whole. I said you guys are feeling blank about the special teams unit. Now, like we've been doing, the 4 options are extremely confident, kind of worried, extremely worried. Kind of worried is a leader, 44%. Kind of confident, 34%. Extremely worried, 13%. And then extremely confident was the caboose here at 8%. So I'll just tabulate all that. 43% of people are some sort of confident. 57% of people are some kind of worried. Dante, this is tough because it's kind of, a 3-headed monster. It's kicking, which I got to say, you're replacing Jonathan Kim, one of the best kickers, not just in the Big Ten, but the whole nation. You're punting? Hey, it's elite with Ryan Eckley. He is arguably the best punter, again, not just in the conference, but in the whole country. Now, the other head that you can maybe, pigeonhole this to is the return game. I can see the vision. If it's Christian McCray, Rodney Bullard, I think they'll be fine. So you throw that all in a shaker, you stir it up. What kind of cocktail are we pouring here, Dante? Are you confident? Are you a little worried about special teams? Where are you? Because I don't even know where I am. It's so all over the place with this unit, man.
I'm very confident.
Okay. Hey, nice.
And I feel like I talk about this. Well, when I've come on before, I feel like I've talked about this in terms of when you're talking special teams, it's kind of the epitome or it's if the coach or the team, it's just an epitome of your program. Like if you're think of good programs, they're going to have good special teams units because they're disciplined, they know what they're doing, and they're going to fly around with energy. I think this is going to be a very good unit for a couple reasons. Number one is like it gets thrown out the window last year that our long snapper gets his knees just blown out in the Michigan game.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
Next 5 games, you have someone that was throwing the biggest lollipops back there on punt that like I've ever seen. Like the snap times on those were so bad that it actually cannot get worse after an entire off season of getting ready. And I think we had one blocked in the Indiana game. I think we almost had like 2 or 3 blocked in the Purdue game that I saw you at. Like it was really, really bad. So that in and of itself, getting our starting long snapper back is very important. So number one. Number two, I understand that you lose Jonathan Kim. Unbelievable weapon for us.
Yeah.
My hope is that our kicking game is not going to be as essential this year. Like, of course, there are going to be times in a game that we are going to need to make a field goal, whether that's, end of a game, end of a half, whatever it might be. And I could look back at this and say, maybe I shouldn't have been as confident. But if you look at the overall points that we score this year, I do think we should be relying less on our kicking game. I mean, we were awful in the red zone last year in terms of scoring touchdowns. We were one of the worst teams in the country, whether it was turnovers, scoring touchdowns. Both of those have to improve this year, and I think they should, with an increased production out of your offensive line and running game. And then on top of that, the receivers and Aiden Childs developing another year. So I'm not saying that kicking is not going to be important. I'm not saying that it's going to be phenomenal. I just think in terms of compared to last year, we should be all right. And then the return game, I think it's going to be, we have a chance to have a returner finally for the first time since Jaden Reed that I think can bring juice in, whether it's Krishan McCray or whether it's Rodney Bullard. There are guys that, again, this coaching staff, I think, has done a great job this offseason in terms of complementing this receiver room with a lot of different guys. And you have 2 guys that I think could be very electric in this space. And I don't think it can get much worse than last year. I don't even remember our return game last year, to be quite honest with you. So that's where
there's reason for that. It was in the bottom in all departments, like at the bottom third of the conference for return yards or certainly no touchdowns. So it wasn't anything to write home about. Right.
So that's where my confidence comes from. I am confident that it will be a better unit than it was last year. Now punting, it should stay the same or get better.
Yeah. Right. I'm just like a shell-shocked wounded animal though when it comes to kicking. Like that 2022 season has done irreparable damage to me. And I feel like, I was at the shelter. I didn't want to be seen by anyone. That Jonathan Kim, he just came and rescued us, and he showed us what a better life could be.
Yeah, I mean,
he got moved to a different part of the country and he had to bring us back to the shelter. And now I'm just so skittish. I'm just so scared of what's out there. I just can't do it, Dante. I'm not mentally strong enough to just do another kicker, but we have to. Like, what other option do we have?
To your point, it is, and it could very well come back to haunt. But again, I go back to like the reading of the tea leaves and what a coach is talking about. I haven't seen news in terms of the kicking front, which I take that as good news. Because if there was, then there would be, whether it's unprompted Jonathan Smith saying something about the kicking, or I feel like a beat reporter or someone in the media availability would ask about the kicking game, and there would be more things that build off of it, right? So that's another one of those things to where, like, if you have scars in terms of the kicking game,
I do, yeah.
I don't think it's gonna just go unnoticed until week 1. Now, that being said, if it was an issue last year, I don't know. I guess I'd like to see if the question has gotten asked at some point, or I would like to see the question get asked of someone.
That's fair. And I think it is good that you haven't seen that graphic on social media. Hey, calling all students, open tryouts at Munn Field Friday at noon. Be there, be square. So that's good. They're not soliciting just frat brothers to try some field goals. So hey, you got to start somewhere. And that's where we're at right now. So
Yeah.
We'll take it. Dante, before we let you go, look, the question on everyone's mind right now, because, yes, we went golfing a few weeks ago. I actually haven't played since. I don't think I'll ever golf again just because I saw the performance you put on. 2 under par, is that what it was?
I think it was only one. I think it was only
1 under par. It was under par. It was amazing. It was incredible, guys. So I've asked myself, what's the point of even golfing anymore? I'll never be this good. Well, the question I have for you is, they actually offered you a PGA Tour card when you stepped off of the 18th green at Rackham on that wonderful, wonderful Saturday or Sunday, whatever day that was. Why'd you turn it down? Why'd you stick with podcasting? Was that a hard decision for you to make, not just joining the tour immediately?
You know, Liv has been in my ear at PGA. I mean, you know, Liv's upfront money, but then I also have to think of the time constraints, and I got to think Michigan State football is above all. I mean,
a lot of travel.
I mean, if I'm playing in Liv, well, actually, Liv's going to be down the street there in
that's true,
Michigan. So maybe I'll think about it. But
that's a good point.
But no, I almost embarrassingly spent too much time golfing. But that might
no
change.
such thing. Come on.
Well, I got to do it now because I don't know if that's forever going to be the case. So you got to get it in now, and it's my competitive outlet. I tell people I try not to play as many intramural sports anymore because my lower body was unscathed through 21 years of athletic competition, and that is my biggest fear in life right now. So golf is an easy way to just get right around that.
It's my competitive, escape on life too, except until that Sunday and I saw your first tee shot and I just said, I'm just competing with myself at this point. Okay, let's just try to break 90 this time. So and we did. So that was good. Hey, it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all horrible. But hey, guys, this is a great time with Dante, as it always was. Thanks a ton for your time, your insight, my man. Can't wait to drag you on during the regular season here and there. And guys, the listeners, the viewers, you already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. We will be back. We do this 5 days a week right here, Locked on Spartans. Tomorrow's show, we are joined with another great YouTube account out there, College Football with Sam. We talk about Aiden Childs, Jonathan Smith. We're going to have Justin Sin on at the end of the week. It's a full rack of shows getting you guys ready for kickoff here in just a few weeks. But until next time, hey, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Go Green.